and you want to say something, you can't just say it.
No, you have to straight up holler.
Because otherwise it's not getting hurt.
You have to slap him first. It's a whole thing.
You don't run into many yell talkers. It's rare.
Not in my experience.
Right?
My voice is the one that pierces through the heavens.
Just who the hell do we think you are?
That's the end of that bit.
Welcome back to the Bad Gamecast. This is Jake.
This is Jason.
Elsa.
And this time we played Wolcen. Something, the rest of the name.
Lords of Mayhem.
Please don't make this a thing.
Oh my god, whole episode, fingers crossed.
There's absolutely no way I could pull that off for another, 2 minutes, much less the entire episode.
All right, out the gate, developed and produced by Wolcen Studios, released January 2020. Other games that came out in 2020, Doom Eternal, Resident Evil 3, and Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's weird this early, well, early in quotations in the year, because, trying to come up with other games that came out, it's 2020 when we're recording. Not a lot that's in the list of games that are coming out are actually out yet.
Yeah, there was some stuff that was delayed, and then the whole issues with
Globally, yes.
Global pandemic meant that 2020 got real buggered up.
Yep.
Solid input.
Man, I'm just nailing it today. I'm like two minutes awake and just... Whew. You can tell I am operating on all cylinders again. This is the quality content people tune into. Oh no. Oh no.
I mean, someone tunes in.
Yeah, let me lean far away from the mic and keep talking.
Yeah, it really shows up.
What's happening? Is Jake blowing everything out?
Oh, no, he's just talking while behind his microphone.
Yeah, because your voice is making our ears bleed.
Yeah, that happens.
I'm sorry.
And he's not quite used to these microphones where he's not allowed to move yet.
Yeah, it's weird.
Gotcha.
Gotta be right up on this shit. Also, we're wearing headphones. We never record wearing... Well, we didn't used to, since our setup is completely different now. Even outside of, speaking with you, that's what we've been doing. It's an adjustment.
Cool. Little glimpse behind.
So...
No, go on. I'm just going to keep interrupting you, and that's going to be the entire episode, is you starting to speak and me interrupting you, and then is just awkward starting for 40 minutes. It's like the worst ASMR ever
Anyway,
created.
so Wolcen Lords of Mayhem. We're going to run through what is ostensibly the plot to this nonsense.
I want to tell you what my notes are.
What kind of game is Wolcen first?
ARPG, which stands for Action RPG, which is a weird, misnomer of a name, because, I don't know how some things would not qualify as being action-oriented RPGs and not be this style of game. Diablo games need their own title.
Yeah.
It's a Diablo clone.
Yeah.
It's third person, it's overhead camera, you run around, you do a lot of clicking. Click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And there are a fuck ton of loot drops, and it's pretty, high fantasy, traditional setting, lots of demons and angels and shit. So,
Yeah,
a Diablo clone.
It's a Diablo clone, Path of Exile. It is that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I guess it's fantasy. It's just weird to think about it as being fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't know, just where's my elves? Where's my dwarves?
That is
Regular
set
fantasy,
the stage.
not high fantasy.
So before we get into the story, my notes for the story say, I can't speak to any part of the story for reasons we'll get into after Jason goes through the story.
Oh yeah, Jason definitely was the only one who got the entire story out of the three of us. You and me got clips and phrases and sort of the general gist of it, but
I wouldn't even go that far, but yeah.
It's not like it was terribly coherent anyways.
Right, so you make your character, and by make your character, I mean your options are exceedingly limited.
Which makes sense, because you don't really see too much of your character.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, because you get to be a male or female, and then you get, hair color, eye color, and that's it. I guess you get your
chose no hair.
style.
My
Well, you can also
hairstyle
pick,
is lack of style. Go on.
Yeah, you can also pick facial hair too.
Oh, wouldn't know.
Well, right, because I was the only one that played a dude. Had some sick ass mutton chops that you couldn't see under the helmet.
And so then it begins with a cutscene, and you're in like this almost arena looking place with your other adopted step siblings of his name is Hemlock, and you are the children of Hemlock, and you're like hanging out, training, I guess.
Yeah.
And some weird like what do you call, people who are do important matters.
Inquisitors?
And they show up and they're like, Hemlock, sir, the Operation Murder 'em All is go.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm not. That's basically they're saying, hey, we're in this giant war, and your plan to kill all of our enemies has been approved by whatever governing person and or body we have.
Yeah. It's one of those, your armor is like all black covered in skulls, and it's one of those moments of, are we the baddies?
I mean, I think everyone, or maybe just you, are the baddie. It's hard to tell. Hemlock himself is like 9 feet tall, has shoulder pauldrons as big as people. It's an interesting
that boy
choice.
Ain't human.
No. There's a reason why the whole time playing this game and streaming this game, I always called him Papa Thanos, is because he's this giant imposing figure that kind of talks like Thanos and, has adopted children that he collected from orphanages to train to be ultimate fighters in his war against. Look, all I'm saying is
the man is Thanos.
Yeah, he earned the name Papa Thanos.
Yeah. So you are campaigning towards violence, and they don't really tell you anything about like the actual sides of the war. Because you're the children of Thanos, you just follow him, and you're killing the other people in this war, and then you come across a demon, and the demon starts wrecking you and your sister, and then suddenly you're filled with power. Sweet, glorious angel power!
Whoa. No. You're a demon.
No.
You're filled with glorious angel power, and you get the demon to fuck right off. And then everyone's like, holy shit, we saw your power. You're probably evil.
You're a demon. You had wings and a halo. Like, you're evil.
It's because of some weird, like, if you're using magic, you're evil something thing. Like, old school Jesus-y type stuff where, like, witchcraft is seen as evil, despite the fact that, like, anyone and everyone can cast spells in this universe.
And, like, the people that are saying that witchcraft is evil are using magic.
Yeah, just, like, different magic. But it's good because they're using it. Anyway, we're gonna just keep going. So you're cast basically out, and you fall into a, like, swamp or something.
Chasm.
Yeah, because this is the tutorial section. You fight your way through, you meet up with your sister, who's like, what the hell was all of that? And you're like, I don't know, I got super magic powers now, but we need to get back to Hemlock and hope that no one ostracizes us and tries to kill us because of my new magic powers.
And she's
which
like,
point,
maybe you don't mention that to people.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that at some point it would cross your mind that anyone who saw that is probably going to have a lot of questions that you currently don't have answers for.
And since you're on a hilltop in the middle of a battlefield, a lot of people probably fucking saw that.
Considering you grew to be like 30 feet tall, yeah. You get back to Stormfall, which is a city that's somewhere and doesn't have to do with the war. It's like neutral territory. You're in Switzerland, and they've got their own problems.
Yeah, wasn't it under siege by, like, goblins or dragons or something? I don't know.
By monsters.
Okay.
That were being driven basically out of their burrows by ghosts. So, because you show up and they're like, no one's allowed in the city unless they're willing to join the militia. And you're like, well, I'm a massively trained fighter, so sure. They're like, great, you're hired. Go to the front line. You go to the front line and there's a bunch of enemies and you kill them all and they're like, holy shit, you're good at this. You're like, yeah, I've literally been training my whole life for this.
You're like, yes, I'm the best at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Pop your hand claws.
You repel the horde of just like generic enemies that are crashing against their gate, and then you proceed down into the caverns and see that the reason why they're being attacked so suddenly and frequently is because of these like ghosts that are popping out of the ground. You get back to Stormfall and you talk to the king there, and he's like, you are the champion of Stormfall. And you're like, seriously, don't say that. I'm just trying to get through here.
Just passing through, bro.
To leave. And he's like, nope, you're our champion. You need to help us now. And you're like, God damn it. Whatever.
I missed basically all of that when I was, quote unquote, playing through.
Yeah. You agree to be the champion and like look into things as little as you can, as long as he lets you go search for your sister. You go to the bar and the bar/inn, and you're like, is my sister here? And the barkeep/tavern keeper is like, please leave. And you're like, where is she? And he's like, I don't want any trouble. And then this assassin shows up and is like, I already captured her and I'm here to kill you. And you're like, no. And then he T-poses at you while you kill him. So that was the boss fight I had where I had no animations. He's probably supposed to do something, but for me, it was just T-pose the whole time.
Yeah, he moved for me.
I didn't play this section.
So you beat him, and then he said he captured your sister, so you need to go get her back. So you go through the sewers out of Stormfall to go meet up with your sister again. You run into your brother, one of the other children of Hemlock, and he's like, oh, hey, yeah, we caught your sister, and now the two of us are gonna go back to camp, and we'll all meet up, and we'll discuss this whole thing, and I'm sure Hemlock will have his decision to make, and then that'll be final.
Yeah, like, your brother's pretty fucking cool about it right here.
Kind of. So, you reminisce briefly about all the stuff you've done in the past. You talk about there was one fight that looked nearly impossible, and the three of you, your sister, you, and him, all fought like through the whole night. No one thought you would survive, and you made it through the night. And since then, the three of you are thick as thieves. Blood is thicker than water, all that nonsense. But then as you're going, and you're like, yeah, but I don't know what's going to happen to me because I'm a giant magic monster now. And he's like, well, whatever Hemlock decides, that's what happens to you. And you're like, wait, if Hemlock literally says, kill me, you'll just kill me? And he goes, yep. Oh, okay, so you don't...
So that just, like, hand waves over everything that was just established.
Yeah, no, if Hemlock says it, it's final. Thanos' word is law.
That is true, yeah.
So they established that no, he lacks the ability to think for himself because Big Papa Thanos said it. You get back to camp. Your other sister, by the way, there's actually 4 of you, but your other sister sucks and dies off screen, so no one cares about her.
Oh, is that what happens to her?
Oh, yeah.
I actually didn't know there was a 4th sibling.
Yeah, there's 4 of you.
Oh, amazing.
She is like the head of the Inquisitors of like kidnapping and torturing people, and she's the one who had your other sister jailed. And you get back there and she's like, well, your sister that you like broke out and killed my men, and I should have your head right now. And
is that what her problem was?
Yeah, well, she sucks.
Yeah, like, she comes at you like a total bitch, and like, I wasn't sure what her fucking deal was.
Yeah. And your brother's like, no, Thanos will decide. So you go talk to Thanos, and he's like, guys, everything sucks. Why are you all fighting? You're like, but I'm a giant magic monster. And he's like, look, I don't care. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to banish you. Your other sister, who you came back to try to get, because she killed our men, I can't stop them from hunting her anymore. Like, they're going to try to kill her, and that's just life, because she killed them. You know the rules. Someone tries to kill you, you kill him right back.
That is exactly what I was thinking. Ancient wisdom.
Yeah. So your character is all torn up about this and is like, well, but I want to help my sister. And he's like, no, you don't get this. If you stick around, my influence only, extends so far. You're a giant magic monster. I am banishing you. Shoo.
Okay, so it's at this point in the game where I don't know anything that happens until the final battle.
Okay, so you are then sent back to Stormfall, and you're told to get a boat and, like, head across the sea to another continent that they never bother, like, talking about ever again. Because from here, you get to Stormfall, and you talk to the king again, and you're like, okay, but what is, like, actually going on with the spooky ghosts? And he says, because while you were on this whole get back to your thing quest, you ran into a member of the opposite faction who was like, the ghosts are coming from this, what is the word? Citadel of the Dead. What do you call it?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, he's struggling for a word. Keep going.
Oh, I was going to ask, when you say opposite faction, what do you mean?
The Dudes of Light, who you end up siding with at the end, who are not on your side. They're the people you're warring against.
Okay, so Operation Kill 'Em All was launched against them.
Yeah.
Okay. Never really got that. Okay.
Yeah, so he says that all the ghosts are coming from the necropolis that is real below Stormfall. Like, there's Stormfall and then Earth, and then there's a necropolis of the damned below that.
That's the word you were going for?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a good word.
It is, and I couldn't remember it until now.
Also, did anybody else know that there was a fucking necropolis below their city/world? Or is this just like a revelation for everyone? Because it seems like a pretty obvious, like, where are all the ghosts coming from? Oh, I don't know. How about the literal hell beneath us?
I don't think they really knew, because otherwise why would you build a city there? But I don't think they really would have cared either way.
Well, like, you don't start with a necropolis, right? Like, it builds over time.
That's true.
Like, they're probably just chucking corpses down there, and eventually a necropolis sprouted up.
No, it's like a garden, but the seeds are corpses.
That's beautiful.
Thanks, man.
So you go down to the necropolis, and you're like, man, that's a lot of ghosts. And demons. And that's where you run into the first, like, avatar of one of the big demons, who is all like, yes, we need the power held in this, like, area to fuel the return of evil guy. And you beat him up, because this area that the necropolis is now in is actually some ancient, oh god, it's an ancient source of power left there by the gods who have abandoned the world.
Let's call it a ley line?
Sure. Basically, in the ye old days, there were a bunch of gods, good and bad. And some of the good gods had areas of power and this kind of thing, but they all left. All the good gods left. All the evil gods, like Captain Demonface, who's trying to enter your world, are still around. So the only higher powers left at this point are all bad.
That seems mighty irresponsible by the good gods to just fuck off and leave us to the evil gods. They're just like, whatever. Does it ever, do they ever explain?
No. And that's a part of it, is like, this game almost does stuff and then doesn't. And I think the world could be interesting, but isn't.
Pity.
So you go down to this, like, super powerful thing, and you see this bunch of, like, I don't know, diamond crystal type things, and there's a giant energy laser shooting through them off into the distance. And you're like, I need to turn this off. And the robot helper, who's like, it's my duty to guard this place, tells you, well, they can't be turned off. Once they're activated, the only way to shut down these sources of power is to go to where they're shooting the power, which is what they tell you is the wherever the final boss battle takes place, where they're opening the portal to hell for Demonface to show up.
The big old tower of power.
Yeah, they're focusing these sources of power that the old gods left into one area so that they can use all of that power to basically rip a hole in the world so that they can have the evil gods pour into the world.
Classic.
Yeah, and it is at this point where you run into your brother, who has been promoted to Justicar because your sister, your bad sister, is dead.
Whoops.
Again, I don't honestly remember. She dies off screen. He's just like, yeah, she's gone now, and so I am the new Justicar.
Did he kill her?
No, I think your other sister might have, but I don't remember.
Whoop. Big oof. Oof. Good lord.
So he is like, he goes on this whole thing about how Hemlock banished you, and you're not banished, you're still here, so he has to kill you now. And you're like, no, I can explain. There's fucking demons. And he's like, nope, Hemlock said you die because you didn't obey his banishment. You die. And then he attacks you, and you kill him.
He didn't think that one through.
No, it was real poor decision-making on his point. And at no point can you negotiate with him. Like, you can't beat him down to the point where you're like, all right, dude, I've won. Let's talk.
No, not important.
Yeah, there's no actual choices in this game, are there?
No, there are no choices, which, okay, is fine. Like, you don't want to have, like, branching storyline. You want to tell a story. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, again, you're supposed to have this, like, family bond with this guy that they try to set up and then just immediately erase, like, 20 minutes of game time later.
I mean, we can get to it at the end, but nah. No.
So then you are basically, okay, I have to destroy these, figure out how to turn off these sources of power, and I have to find my sister. You get, I think your brother gives you some lead. He basically says that your sister was found, like, cohorting with the enemy, basically. And so that is the clue that you have to go after her. You head to a place, you find your sister, and she was with the forces of light. And
how dare she?
Yeah, right. She's like, great, we're reunited, let's leave. And you're like, well, I can't. We have more important business to do. And your sister begrudgingly decides to help you.
Oh, I guess if the world's ending, I'll help you.
I don't know if you ever really explained to her that, like, it's a matter of the world being consumed by demons. You're just like, trust me, we need to do
very
this.
Very good explanation.
Okay.
Oh my god, I hate that. That's the worst trope in the world. Just explain your shit. Use your words. Don't be like me.
Yeah.
Use your words.
So you head into this big, like, I don't know what it's supposed to be. It's another giant ancient building full of evil stuff that used to be good stuff to fight your way to.
Yep.
I forget his name, but he is the main good guy.
A lot of the environments in this game run together in my brain. It's like, okay, we're in another, like, spooky crypt or castle, or just it's basically all the same.
I mean, the dungeon design is all extraordinarily repeated. There's actually only like 5 different dungeons.
Yep.
Yeah. So you would not be mistaken for having everything kind of bleed together in your mind.
Good to know it's not just like the repeated head trauma making this fuzzy.
You go down there, and this is where you have one of the few times you do something actually different. You have to hold the point with waves of enemies coming at you.
Yeah, okay.
Because you get
I wish I could have played that.
And it's you meet the light side guy, and he has his troops, and he's like, we're doing real bad. And you're like, I'm here to save the world. And he says, great. If you want to do that, we need to reforge some magic item. I cannot remember its name because all these kind of things wash over you at some point. But basically the idea is there's a powerful light side artifact that is split into 2 pieces, and you need to get them.
Okay.
But before that can happen, you need to get back out of this, like, citadel of the dead that you're in that's different than the other one.
Oh yeah, I think I actually played
because
this
then
part.
he's like, by the way, I know that you're a avatar of power because I am too. What?
And you go, Dad?
What? And he goes on about how he'll explain more later about your powers and how to use them properly. But in the meantime, he's going to give you some of his juice. And he literally like glows with a giant aura, shoots his hand at you, and you get a power up for your awakened form. Yeah.
Thanks, Guru.
He unlocks the hidden potential deep inside of you.
Yes. Now we can
Yeah.
go Super Saiyan
Does-
2.
Someone need an adult at any point?
No.
No, please.
So you do the horde battle and then fight your way back out. And you and him get to finally talking. You set up, he talks about all the things that it's all briefly just like where he's like, yeah, okay, so you've got celestial power. Some of the gods basically like you have some of their power that you can draw and to transform, but the most important thing right now is to get the super special artifact. Next part of the game is to get that from the Lombok, which is one of the other like representatives of the old gods. So in addition to Demon Face, who's trying to enter the world, there is the Lombok, who is a weird like flesh demon that like absorbs people into it.
It's basically the Flood.
Yeah.
Possibly some Hive as well. You mix in some StarCraft and some Halo in there and throw it in a fantasy setting. You got the Lombok. That's pretty much all you need to know.
I guess you briefly see Hemlock, and he says some stuff, and then the Lombok. You chase after the Lombok. It is printing copies of both Hemlock and your sister, and it keeps talking about how they're failed copies because of various reasons, that whenever it makes a copy of Hemlock, all it does is scream in pain until it dies. Which you learn, I guess because right before this is when you learn that Hemlock is evil. Because it's right before you enter the Lombok's lair that you run into Hemlock and he goes all demon mode.
Dun, dun, dun. Does he give any sort of motivation at this moment, or is it just like, I'm thrown in with the bad guys now?
I don't think you get his motivation here. I think that's only at the end. But he basically says that he is a thrall to Big Demon Daddy, and that he just does whatever he says because that's where he gets all his power from, blah, 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 blah.
And he just like, doesn't he just like say this just like all like straight-faced, sort of evenly, just sort of like pure exposition vomit?
This is what you need to know moving forward now. But then he fucks off when you actually head into the Lombok's lair. Again, the copies of him are apparently copying that like demon infestation as well, so they just scream and die. The copies of your sister just kind of suck, but the Lombok is really interested in copying you with your celestial power and all. But you get down there and then you beat up the Lombok, which was an awful fight for me. Yeah.
For us. It was tough, and I think we ended up using my broken orbital laser to get through that fight.
Thank God we did that while the game was still broken.
We'll talk about that in a later. The game being broken helped us progress. Hooray! That's always a good design mechanic.
I was in on that fight when we failed, and then I got off for the night, and then I think you guys finished it.
That might be right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Feels
that
right.
was a fucking pain. And like the multi-stage boss fight, whatever.
Yeah. So you get the other piece of the relic weapon from the Lombok's corpse. You go back to the dude and he's like, great. Now that we have the pieces, we need to get to the final citadel, which is between the like current war. So you wander your way through like a big old battlefield. You get to the citadel. You have to fight your way through a bunch of Citadel parts. And by fight your way through, I mean, at a certain point, we just started running and teleporting.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we
you
did.
have to...
It's just...
You enter
tedious.
the Citadel. Oh, sorry. When you first get to the Citadel, you fight Hemlock under demon power. And once you beat him up enough, and then he snaps out of it, and he's like, "No, I will not listen to you, evil demon. I will not kill my children." And then he's a good guy. I don't know why you would ever think a man possessed by the literal devil would just suddenly be on your side, and that like you should bring him with you.
For the betrayal and twist later.
Right, it's a twist because you don't see it coming that he's evil, which he already told you.
Well, yeah, you can just excommunicate the devil with the power of positive
the fact
thinking,
that he's a
I
Nazi,
guess.
like, should have tipped you off from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, at no point do they ever stop to explain that you're not the bad guys. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
So you and Papa Thanos head into the Citadel. You get through the Citadel, fighting, running, till you finally get to the roof access. Get to the roof. It's you, your sister, Papa Thanos, and what's his name with the new forged Spear of Light. Get to the top, and betrayal! He just wanted you there to, I don't know, monologue at.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, he just, like, calls you idiots and...
Yeah. He chops your sister's arm off, which is kind of dope, because she sucks.
Damn. She's like the Krillin of the group. Like, she was there the whole time.
She was. At some point, whether it's like right before or after or during all of this stuff, he basically tells you that the reason why he let the demon into him is that a long time ago, he was trying to better the world. And he kept trying and failing and trying and failing. And he tried praying to the goddess of light. And she never answered his prayers anytime he ever tried. And he had this vision of the future where, like, the world is destroyed. And the only way to get around that in his eyes was to invite the demon inside of him and use his power to conquer the world. All he had to agree to was that to gain that power was that the demon would get full control of his body, thoughts, and mind.
Is this guy a fucking idiot?
I mean, like, if you're making deals with the devil, giving the devil full control of your mind and body is like the last thing you offer, because you never offer it, because as soon as you do, you've lost. Offer him someone else's body.
I never knew.
Then kill that person.
That this was the actual plot.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's real bad. Like, I knew Hemlock had like a stupid reason, but I didn't know it was that earth-shatteringly stupid. I'm gonna need a second.
No, so like,
keep going.
Pull back for a moment and realize it's straight up Thanos thought, right? It is, I need this power to destroy the world, to save the world from itself.
Mm-hmm.
Him being Papa Thanos is not like a small joke. It is what they went for.
Yeah, it totally fits.
And then you fight him. He casts the magic spear off the edge of like the tower, but old good guy jumps after it because he can also turn into a magic avatar. So then you fight. There's 3 rounds to the fight, and like after.
I like you that you make it sound like a boxing match. There are 3 rounds to this fight.
They took forever and were impossible when we were the 3 of us trying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because the game scales for the number of people in the game, I believe.
Which, I mean...
And so, between the 3 of us, we were super underleveled, me and Jake, and Jason was the only one at a proper level, so we were handicapping him.
Because
good times.
You had joined at various times, but not like for the whole campaign, I was noticeably higher level, the level you probably should be, and then you 2 were both underleveled, so it was just more enemies with more health that you guys weren't really damaging. Yeah.
But then you got through it when we weren't
then
there.
I went, did it by myself at some point, cleared through it, and that's where you get the story of, that was Hemlock's whole plan. Good guy grabs the spear before it hits the ground because he can fall faster. That's how physics works. he flies back up because he can turn into an angel. He shoots his laser beam at the portal, causing it to start to close, but the big bad demon is like sending part of himself through so that it's not a complete waste, and is trying to like super possess Hemlock and your sister, I guess, and you jump in the way and create a force shield. Don't know when you learn to do that. But then the force shield fails, and you get this like black screen and then like red, and you see the big final demon, and he cackles and goes, ah, ha, 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 ha. And then the game just ends.
Yep, hard cut.
What?
You're done.
And that's the end of the story. That's it. Did you get possessed by the demon? No one knows. That's just it.
But then what
but then
happens,
you
Jason?
unlock the quote-unquote actual game, which is the Stormfall mode, where when you go into it the first time, you get the 6 months later title screen, which
Fucking love that.
Yep.
really is kind of amazing that just 6 whole months later, you're not possessed. So clearly he either fails to possess you, or he possesses you, and then you find a way to expel him, but you'll never know.
Or
Because
he's
it
playing the
never
long
comes
game.
up ever again. And this is the mode where you go through from what was the end of the game, I don't know, like level 40 or something, all the way up to level 90 max level. There are you have been informed that the king of Stormfall is gone. They don't elaborate, he's just gone. The 3 heads of the like different houses, main houses of whatever, tried to rule the 3 of them, but they would just always argue. And so they need someone who is impartial to try to make decisions, and they have nominated you the champion of Stormfall.
Emperor good,
Yes.
small council bad.
Yes.
Sure.
And they give you the keys and reins to the city. You then get the Stormfall projects, which is this whole thing where you like can unlock different things for the city to upgrade like how you play the game, and like give you the ability to get certain items, or a few that are just like flat upgrades for your character, or ones that let you upgrade items quality or rarity so that you can try to.
It's an interesting concept. It's just very strange that like this weird like city building management stuff came all after the main story. It's very, I don't know,
'Cause
incongruous.
there's no story to this part. It's just like you pick some things, and then as you level up the town, you don't get anything new. You just keep going on more missions. And
Yeah, this is where the
Yes.
real grind loop comes in.
yep. The main way to grind through this loop is that you can go on expeditions. Expeditions are random dungeons that are 3 in a row, up to 3 in a row. You clear through. Your goal is always kill enough enemies. Once you kill enough enemies, you unlock the boss. The boss is a very strong version of just like one of the mini bosses throughout the game. They get a bunch of extra modifiers and health. Fight them, beat them. You get 2 portals, one that'll take you back to Stormfall, one that'll take you deeper into the dungeon. You have 3 of those levels. On the 3rd level, your only option is to go back to Stormfall, reap all your rewards, experience, gold, and production, which is the what do you call economy thing of
The value that you use to upgrade the city.
which you don't like store production. You get production towards the things you're working on, which means like
Right. You assign
so like
projects.
running a expedition while you don't have any projects going means that production is all just wasted. And you just grind forever. That's it.
Right. The question I was going to ask is there anything like final
No.
raids to
the
work
level,
towards?
so you might start doing expeditions at your level, but then you'll quickly start pushing expeditions above your level. So like I ended the game, I think I was level 70, and I was doing level 128 expeditions. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
like you get stronger, and once you do those higher ones, your gear gets higher and higher and higher, and that's more how you progress than leveling up. You still level up, it's just very slowly.
Right. But there's like nothing specific. There's no like top tier activity that you're actually trying to progress yourselves towards, right? It's just like trying to do these dungeon delves harder and harder
Until
and
you
harder,
hit
and that's it.
Max level expedition, yeah. Which is just, that's all it is. It's expedition level
It's just another
187.
expedition.
But that's where you get all the best loot.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because that's max level.
Isn't that exciting? And the only way to upgrade the expedition level is to complete an expedition at the previous level, so you have to go through all 3 dungeons each time.
Yes. So you have to complete the dungeon previous to unlock the next one. And yeah, it gets real slow.
Oh, and the
that doesn't
the
sound
gold
interesting
value
at all.
and the production value goes up quite steeply.
Yeah. Gold is a medium issue at times, depending. Then there's also another currency. I can't remember what it's called. It's the purple goo. It's primordial essence.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. The purple, yeah.
Magic
The purple
bits.
goo is the magic currency, and you also need it for a bunch of different projects in large quantities. It's a grind. It is a very large grind.
Did you, in your like 50 hours of playing this game, end up completing your city at all? Or were you close?
Completed? No. I had a lot of them done. I think I was really only missing 1 or 2 of them. I think 2.
That's pretty good. I was so interested in this game. I think I built 5 of like the, I don't know, 50 buildings. And then I decided.
Actually, I was missing much more than 2, but there's like a massive amount of production increase ones that I don't see how they're worth it. Because they start to cost like 5 million gold.
Well, at a certain point, you don't have anything else to spend money on. So I put a decent amount of time in online, and then the game updated, and I couldn't actually connect to an online server anymore. Yeah, so I started playing it offline, which is fine because they have mod support offline. So I had a trainer. I had a couple trainers, just like some stuff I was messing around with. Some of the stuff, like I was using some mods that made the expeditions more difficult and like it would modify some things, which was fun. But mostly I wanted to see what would happen if I maxed out the city. Like, what does that look like? Nothing. It doesn't change anything. Not that you would expect it to, right? You know, once you go through, you spend all the time to unlock all the things. Great, you can like upgrade an item. Only so much. Or you can send dudes out for gold that you won't need at that point, or primordial essence you won't need at that point, or items that won't be better than what you're going out and getting at the end game expeditions. So like your final goal is to not have to do any of that anymore, really. It's super exciting. So like, because I was cheating my ass off offline, I turned the production value for everything to 0. So that was nice. I gave myself infinite money, infinite purple goo. So I just like upgraded all my skills because that's one of the uses you could do with the primordial essences, upgrade your skills. And then was running out, except I didn't want to take the time to run through all of the expeditions like one after another to get all the way up to the fucking end. So I was just running the early stage ones at like level 90, which I put myself to level 90 by using an XP modifier. And let me tell you want to talk about grind. The experience that you need from, Jesus, let's say 50 to 60 is ridiculous. And then 60 to 70 is ludicrous. And then 70 to 80 is impossible. 80 to 90? What are you even doing? Anybody that ground out enough to make their way to level 90, kudos. Think, like, you could have learned to play piano like a master and all the hours that you spent doing that. Seriously, it takes so fucking long. I had the experience modifier set to times 10 million, and it didn't just automatically give it to me when I killed something. It still took me a few minutes. What the shit?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
as I said, 54 hours in on one character, I was level 70. And I didn't level up every, like...
You can't see it, but I'm shaking my head and staring into the middle distance. That is too much.
What a lot of super grindy games do is that the, EXP required to get the next level basically grows exponentially.
Yep.
And so the last 10 levels might take you as long as the entire first 80 levels combined. So, yeah.
Really feels like you're making progress there.
It's real slow. That's the plot summary and really most of the gameplay summary. Have you seen Diablo or Path of Exile? It's that. It's
Right. You get like 4 abilities. You can change them out whenever you want. They're various single target attacks or area of effects. It's, I don't know, it's pretty standard fare.
Except for the Gates of Fate system, the big ass spinny wheel of skills you can pick.
I mean, but that's not different either.
No. But the wheels spin, so shut your face.
The wheels do spin, which is, kind of cool that, like, an idea of, if you want to tree into specific things that you would need to spin the wheels to, like, go branch one direction to conserve points. But by the time you hit level 90, you have enough points to hit literally all 4 corners if you really wanted. It's really not that hard.
I mean, the skill tree is fucking massive, and it is interesting in the way that it does let you choose a large variety of abilities. Like, I only probably read through maybe a quarter of what you could do with the big wheel of bullshit because I just didn't have time to read through all that nonsense. There are hundreds of nodes.
Most of the nodes don't do anything interesting. So most of the nodes are small flat bonuses, either to, specific stats, whether it's ferocity, toughness, dexterity? Speed. I couldn't remember which speed word they used. Speed or wisdom. Or they'll give you flat bonuses to, like, your shields or attack.
Attack speed, crits, that kind of thing.
Most of the nodes are just that. They're just small flat bonuses to things you already do. And then there's interesting nodes which have, like, a special color around them. They're like gold.
Mm-hmm.
And those do things that potentially modify how your game plays / works. So one of the big ones that I was using doubles your force shield, but your maximum health can only be 5% of your final force shield.
One of the ones you and I were both using was increase the amount of projectiles, but it lowers the damage of the individual projectiles.
Yeah. So there's, things...
I had a few things where, like, everything I attacked I set on fire.
Things like that. And they would be kind of interesting if there weren't some that were objectively better than others and ones that did or didn't work. So...
I mean, you don't have to leave it up in the air. There is entire points that don't do anything.
Yeah. It's like people have gone through and tested, and a lot of them might not work or not work the way you think they should or do work. There's ones that are objectively so much better. There is a skill that changes. So by default, your character generates willpower, which is used on spells. Mm-hmm. And as you attack with a weapon, any kind of, I believe, bows and then any melee weapon, you generate rage. Staves, by default, generate willpower. They're the only ones. But they're so garbage you should never use them. There is a skill, passive skill, that says you have default rage generation instead of willpower generation. The one right next to that says whenever your rage is above, I think, 750, the cost of your rage skills is increased by 100. And any skill whose affected by this cost increase, the attack damage is doubled. Those 2 nodes are the most important in the game if you're going to be a melee character at all.
Huh. I didn't know about the second half. I knew about the first half. I think I had it, the default rage generation. I did not have the, like, damage spike for your opening
because
attack.
There's a fun little thing where it doubles your damage, and it is one of the few things in the game that actually doubles your damage. Yeah. So anything that says plus 100% damage does not double your damage. In fact, anything that says plus 100% damage doesn't even come close to doubling your damage.
Oh yeah, the percentages in this game make no sense and do not matter.
Sense, quote unquote, because there is a default percentage increase to your damage that they kind of tell you about, but you have to be paying attention to notice. All of your stats from leveling up give you a bonus to damage. Percent bonus. So,
yes.
I was looking at numbers. By like level 90, by default, most characters are rocking about plus 700% damage just on their stats.
Yep, because those numbers mean anything to anybody looking at them.
Plus 100% damage, you go from 700% to 800%, which is, a marginal increase compared to what you... Yes.
I see.
So you don't actually do that much more damage. In fact, for
Ain't that
most attacks, it's just going to be a little. Whereas this one node that says double actually doubles. So you would go from plus 700% to plus 1,400%.
Yeah, and it drove me crazy about this game is the way that the numbers are sort of, I can't say obfuscated because they give them to you, but it doesn't work like how you think it should work or how it's presented to you. So like, I could never get a good feel of how much damage I should be doing based on the numbers that the game is telling me how much damage I should be doing, because it never made sense. And like, the way that the weird scaling works, like, there is an end game build, and you use that or you're doing it wrong. And so I wasn't using it. I was an archer. Okay. So because this game has been in early access for so long, do you know how many archer builds you can find out there?
One.
It's one.
Zero?
It's one guy who has this YouTube video on this shit he was testing, and it's not that good. It's okay. I didn't look into spell casting because I wasn't doing any spells. I would watch Jason throw fireballs, which seemed great early on.
Yeah, they are. And then by the time you hit somewhere in the 60s, they drop off such a cliff that it's hilarious. Yeah, there is a interesting thing that spells scale off of the level of the skill. Every time the skill levels up, they get a little bonus to damage. Now, skills also cap at like level 90, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't remember where they cap at.
Don't know, because I never managed to hit top level with any of my skills. But weapons, remember, scale all the way up to 187, the maximum level for expeditions. All of your skills for like melee people have damage based off of your weapon damage. If you have a good weapon, they will do so much more damage. I am not gonna... we had someone who watches us stream occasionally, and he played Wolcen a bunch.
Yeah.
He at one point joined one of our games and gave us each a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what kills me.
I didn't get a weapon.
You were not around for this.
You should have been playing.
I probably gave up playing this game at this point. This game wasn't interesting. I'll get to that.
The weapon, because he gave me 3 bows. He's like, fuck, take them. I never use bows. I don't care about these.
Yeah, because no one uses bows.
Yeah, because no one uses bows. And I was like, oh, thanks, right? So I pick a bow and I look at the damage. The damage is better than what I was using, but nothing like phenomenal. And then I started using them, and I did easily twice the damage I was doing. And I don't know why.
Yeah, so my character was built entirely for spells, all willpower, and then I had one attack, one melee skill, basically to dump all of the rage I generated from using spells back into willpower. He gave me like a level 170 something dagger. He was like, I'm not sure this is actually any good for you, for your build, but I'm not going to use it. So I equip it, because it's better than the axe I was using. And it doesn't really change any of my spells. All their damage is the same. But that skill that I was using, just as purely as a dump skill, right? It did okay damage before. It was now doing like 3 to 4 times the damage that the rest of my skills were doing. Yeah, entire build was based on increasing spell damage, and they couldn't come close to just this one skill.
Let me hand you this dagger, wizard, and it just like shatters your entire life. Everything you've worked for up until this point just crumbles before your eyes, because sticking with the pointy end is the truth of the universe.
I margined out a build that worked well enough that still used spells, but I had to scrap like all of the stuff I was doing and change into a what if I just made everyone explode build, which actually works out kind of well against smaller enemies, you know, right? Like all the base enemies in the game, I could just tear through them, no issues. I did an absurd amount of damage. Bosses, I would do nothing. Run away!
You see, because I was doing the same build for my online and offline character, and I did that intentionally because I didn't have a guide to follow, you know, for my online character, so I wanted to have the offline one where the resources I used to reset all my skills didn't matter, because at any point in the game, you can reset all your skills, which is super nice. It's just real freaking expensive when you get the like higher levels, which makes sense. And so, like, the build that I was working towards did an awesome amount of damage. It was all crit-based. And because I fired multiple arrows, and the arrows would hit a target and then bounce to another target, so, like, if there was a wave of enemies, they would just chew through a bunch of shit. And then I had skills for single target damage, because I would run into the same issue where you have something that's a single target, and yeah, you're good on waves, but that one dude's kind of beefy, and there's not shit you can do to him. But I also couldn't play the game anymore online to get the online character back towards there, which is irritating.
Nah, it's not that irritating, because then you'd be playing more Wolcen. You didn't need to do that.
No. Once you see what this game has to offer, it's you just can move on with your life.
It is that's the whole game, is like trying to figure out a build and ignore the internet, because if you don't ignore the internet, then you'll just build you don't like the idea of just like doing a build that you found sounds dreadful to me, because it's the only thing in this game that is mildly interesting. The gameplay loop gets boring fast.
Yes, it does.
Yes. But like being able to work towards like adding more specific things into your build that you thought of is mildly interesting. I thought the same way. Like I pathed out like where I wanted to go. I want to be basically a critical hitting berserker. And once I got to the end of that, it was like, okay, I did it.
And then you can just keep doing the same thing over and 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 over. And I don't have enough overs to explain how much you just have to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. Like, that's it.
Yep.
And I know that studio is small. In fact, if you look up like Wolcen Studio, they don't have a Wikipedia page. Wolcen the game does. It's 2 paragraphs long and that's it. And the studio doesn't have...
Well, how did this game come about? Was this a Kickstarter game, or did I make that up?
I believe it was originally a Kickstarter game that was called Umbra, and the idea was that it was going to be an ARPG that also included open world elements. It wanted to be somewhere between Skyrim and Diablo. And then they didn't work out. I'm assuming mostly due to time/money constraint and ability to create something like that. They basically just scrapped it and went full Diablo.
You know, that's fair. That's a really ambitious idea for
I like
a small
that
studio.
idea. I think it could be interesting, but I also think that something that big would need a big studio behind it.
Yeah, with a team of experienced people to work that out, plus the resources to actually get it made. Yeah.
And so I can't necessarily fault their ambition, but I can fault what they made, because it's very samey and very monotonous.
So, you know, oh no, go on.
Okay. Can we talk about the glitches? Because, you know, this is a glitchy game.
As previously mentioned, some of the nodes just don't work on the skills, which, oh boy, that's not really what you want.
That's
and you don't really know that going into it.
During... This is true. You can respec, but also noticing, like, a node doesn't work, you may not even notice. Like, I probably wouldn't have noticed if any of my nodes didn't work, and it's entirely possible they didn't.
a lot of it is not necessarily, the big stuff like the doubling my force shield. Obviously, I would notice if that wasn't doing what it was supposed to, but like some of the other stuff is like, oh, your statuses can now crit. How am I supposed to check that?
Yeah. During the cutscenes, I think we all ran into some sort of T-posing at some time. Yeah, which was hilarious every time it happened.
Or the phantom chains of Kratos.
Yes, the chains.
I still have no idea what that was. Like, when Elsa was playing with us.
So, my character, yes, I was the Berserker, and I had an attack that did whirling chains, Kratos-style, like, blade chains, and I would use them quite often. It was one of my main attacks. When I used them on my screen, I just used them normally, and the animation went away. On Jason and Jake's screens, how do you explain
phantom, like that, almost see-through blue, and the chains would just constantly be whipping. They would stay.
Yes, but they weren't actually doing any damage.
Wherever you had used the skill, and they would just be constantly going.
Yeah, so if you used it multiple times in one area, our screen would just fill up with these phantom chains.
That's what it really should have called them. Wolcen, the Phantom Chains.
It makes as much sense as Lords of Mayhem, or whatever the fuck a Wolcen is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, was like Wolcen the word Wolcen ever mentioned in this game?
Not to my knowledge. Maybe it's the name of the world. Who knows?
You don't, because they never say.
There were a couple times where like character models were just completely missing, except for their eyes and teeth.
That's always a fun, terrifying
so that,
one.
Yeah, you've run into that in other games, but this,
it's
just
that
has
good
all the
Assassin's
glitches.
Creed shit.
There was at least one playthrough session where my female character just had all male voice lines.
Yep.
So, like, when she would get knocked out and she would get the gruff, "Ugh, this will never happen again." And, it was very strange. So, like, even glitches that, like, I wouldn't have expected. It keeps you on your toes, this game.
Wolcen, they released the game on Steam. I don't know if they released it anywhere else, but they don't use your Steam friend list. They have their own friends list, which no one should ever do.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't get it. Like, just integrate, because like you have to add your friends again, which is annoying, but fine. So I add my friends, and then it doesn't work. When your friends come online, it doesn't inform you, and they still appear offline.
Yeah, don't you have to?
Right. There were definitely some sections where we were trying to juggle, like, who's the host, and like, how do we need to invite in the right order to get everybody in our game?
As Jake said, there was a somewhat sizable update that made it so that he couldn't connect online. It also managed to default all of your friends to always being online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you just pull up Wolcen right now and you have any friends, they'll all have green dots next to their name because everyone is always online, according to Wolcen. Like, that's...
I'm gonna do it.
What? They can't get their friends list to work properly.
I mean, in my case, the game doesn't launch anymore, so woo!
I know people have experienced a ton of server connection issues. They say those are mostly better now. Hard for me to say. I think server connection issues are one of those things that you never really know until you run into it. Like, I hate people arguing, well, I've never been booted off the server.
Well, that must mean that nothing's ever wrong ever.
Yeah. Again, it's nonsense. If people say they have server issues, then they probably have server issues. They might not be super widespread.
No,
What?
They're lying to pan this game.
Well, you just want to see the game fail. I don't want to see the game fail. I don't want to see any game fail. I want to see games that, do good, succeed, and make good stuff. And they didn't.
Oh my god, I just loaded up my character and I just saw, my fucking magical girl assless chaps cheesecake uniform that I had been switched to. So that's a good transition to some of the design decisions, the thirsty ass boob windows that your sister has.
All the tits out armor.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's good stuff. There's definitely some heavy heavy male gaze on these designs. Like, all the women are wearing combat heels. That is, in fact, my character name, Combat Heels for the Loss.
Yeah, because you just wear heels into battle. Everyone always wears heels into battle because it makes your butt look good.
Right?
Because...
Well, yeah. Your legs are, like, the size of the sun.
Your butt is a important focal detail on this game if you have a female character. Seriously, I get it because the thirsty maleness of it, but I don't get it because what?
Yeah, which is weird considering like the intro when you start and you're with the Nazis and like you've got on big ass all black armor with massive fuck off shoulder pauldrons too.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that sort of outfit just like continue on? And I get it. Fantasy game, female fantasy armor, tits are out. That's how they do, but still, like it's
just science.
Like as because I played as a male character, but armor is like.
Oh shit! Do we have a guest star? Sorry, I interrupted you because there's a cat in my presence.
Ah, damn it!
You gonna be loud at me?
Anyway, I played as a male character. None of the armor is like. Some of it looks all right, but it isn't like. There's no dick window, and that's what I want. Yeah.
Come on, man. Male empowerment.
Like, why can't I just have like I don't know, like an armored codpiece and nothing else?
Why can't these dudes feel good about their body too? That's just misandrist.
Yeah.
Well, because it's isometric, and I'm standing back with a bow and arrow. Like, I don't give a fuck what my dude looks like. I'm not looking at him anyway. I couldn't care less. So I could see the helmet and shoulders that he had on.
It was kind of nice that there's like global transmog in this game, in that like any item you unlocked, you could switch your appearance to. So that was kind of nice, and you can change your color scheme and all that. There are dyes that you can pick up for your armor, which made me feel like I was playing Guild Wars again. The system
is actually pretty nice, and it is permanent when you do it. So like if you pick an armor set that you like and you get it all dyed up, if you switch the armor you're wearing, it won't switch how you look.
Yes. So they did a good job with that. Unfortunately, just the way that the like camera is in this game and the action and all the particle effects and everything, you don't really see your character like a lot. Anyways, you like might see your character when you're back in town. That's pretty much the only time you're really paying attention to your character.
They make you pick the eye color, and you gotta wonder why, because you never see your character's eyes. Although I think, Jason, you and I were talking about it before. Like, it's a meaningless change that it makes you feel like you have some input over your character. Because if they didn't have it, it'd feel lacking.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Some people feel they need choices about their character, and so this is a way for them to give you a choice that doesn't actually matter.
A lot of people like pretty dress up in their RPG games, and they're catering to those people. I'm one of those people. And, I did give this game slight points for that customization, as arbitrary and pointless as it was. I just have a note here, because I was talking about dyes. They had, like, modifiers on the dyes. Like, so you could have, like, 10 different shades of green or khaki. You could have, like, reserved khaki, bold khaki, illustrious khaki. Khaki goes to the beach. Khaki wonders if it's ever going to see its kids next. Khaki purchases a gun. Khaki is 4 weeks sober and working on it. That's it. That's the bit.
I mean, I would deck out in all khaki with a gun.
Is khaki doing better now?
Right. Yeah, Kaki's making some changes in his life.
Hey.
Kaki's doing yoga now.
Do we have any more bullet points?
Sorry, that was sort of a cul-de-sac of discussion.
That's the game. Kaki goes on an adventure. Seriously though, because I'm done talking about Wolcen, because it's a game. It is a game that falls into the illustrious category of it has online multiplayer. So if you play with friends, it's not miserable. But that's all online multiplayer games, as long as you enjoy playing with your friends. Mm-hmm. The default, gameplay isn't necessarily bad. It's just derivative. It doesn't really bring anything new or interesting to the party. I wouldn't play it. I certainly wouldn't play it for $40. Yeah.
Is that how much it cost me?
Yeah, so
Motherfucker.
it's if they eventually fix the game and if it eventually goes on sale, maybe you would want to play it. But like that's it. It's not in a state that I would really recommend it. It's at a price I definitely wouldn't recommend. And yeah, that's the Wolcen.
Elsa, you or me?
It's pretty much the same for me. I mean, like, it was a big ol' meh. It is definitely the best game I've played so far in my appearances on this podcast, but that's not saying much. Honestly, if you're into the Diablo style games and it's $15 or less, maybe give it a look, especially if you have some people that are like you and you'd like to play with. But honestly, it's not, Diablo style games are not my style of games, and I found myself often bored, and I played the least of the three of us because I was done with the gameplay loop and I'd seen enough. And
So I
That was
actually
it.
like this game.
There you
I 100% agree with you both. It is not worth $40. It is glitchy in ways that it shouldn't be. For me, in the state that it's in currently, I can't really play it. But I had a good time playing it with the three of us when we'd play together. Playing with Jason, because you and I put some more time when Elsa, you were busy. And like, a lot of it is playing a game with your friends certainly helps a lot. Makes the garbage more palatable. See some of our previous episodes. But the core gameplay loop, I really like. Now, as you could tell how enthused I was as we were talking about it, I have some real big fucking issues with it. When it comes to the gameplay loop, the grind. Oh my god, everything takes so long to get leveled up or to the next production level, etc., etc. It's bitch. But just that get your shit together, go out, get some of those good loot drops, and come back to town. Like, that's the sort of like mindless, I can do that for an hour and move on to something else that I really enjoy, just playing it casually. So I think, yeah, if you can catch it on sale for like $10 and you can sucker some of your idiot friends into also paying $10 for this, like, you guys can have a good evening just, grinding some of this out. I don't think there's anything here to take too seriously. Where the end of the game is now, they have said they want to add more to it, so it's anybody's guess if they're going to or not.
Right, considering the story ended on just big demon dude like laughing in your face.
I mean, I'd love if they had a plan, but like it's impossible to tell. If the game sold well, maybe they do, but if the game sold mediumly, I'm not sure what the plan is.
But we didn't talk about how because Jason had progressed through the story the most, that when we joined him, that brought us up to that part of the story, which means we now couldn't go back and play all of the previous stuff without starting a new character. And that fucking sucks.
Yeah,
I actually wanted to see the story, but suddenly I couldn't. I had to go back and then start a new character. In this case, I was doing it offline, which is a weird choice. I'm not for it. And the main part that I liked, the Champions of Stormfall mode, you can only get after completing the game, which I don't think is worth it. But I still like it.
Yeah, I think they supposedly said at some point they want to fix that wherever you have progressed in the story, you can go back and play old missions, but it's not in the game now, and there's no timetable for when that would be in the game. So it's, again, stuff that's like, oh yeah, that'd be a cool addition, and then you never know if it'll happen.
So for the games that are like this, that you've played, that we've played, is there any... I think you've said you plan on maybe going back and revisiting some of them.
Maybe.
Add this one to the list.
Yeah, it's a okay game.
This is probably more something that we might do like a one-off on a stream some night, right? Unless they add a bunch of shit to it.
Yeah, it's like Fallout 76 and Anthem are the two that I can think of as big, like, maybe we'll see. And this will have released a little while after Fallout 76's big Wastelanders update came out. I am probably going to reinstall that game and see if it's any good.
Yeah, but see, Anthem and 76, I have since played on stream. just to see like, hey, this many months out, what's changed? And in the case of Anthem, fuck all nothing. And it was before the Wastelander update for 76, so I'm excited to watch you suffer through that.
But realize,
play.
We are now over a year out on 76. It came out in November of 2018. Yeah.
Yep.
If the Wastelanders update, which came out, I don't remember.
This month?
April something,
Yep.
something, 2020. If that finally fixed the game, it took them like a year and a half.
To be fair, I don't think anybody says it's fixed the game.
Yeah. Again, we'll see, I suppose, but I could see Wolcen being on that kind of timeline. A year and a half later, this might be a finished game, but it's a year and a half later. Why are you taking people's money now? Yeah.
Because
I know.
money.
It's just make a fucking game. The whole thing. And be done.
Nah, let it be in early access for fucking ever.
Everybody saw Grand Theft Auto 5 and said, I want the most
everyone
money
else just
of all
needs to start
time.
selling shark cards.
Let.
All right, well, what do we do now?
Now we answer letters. Letters from listeners.
Oh my god.
So we've already been talking.
Listeners?
Listeners!
Oh.
We've already been talking a little while, so I'm going to grab a short one here, which is kind of funny in how relevant it is to this episode.
Interesting.
Have you guys ever played a game for the podcast that wasn't bad enough to stoke the flames of your rage in order to make an episode about it? And if so, what game was that? If not, what game/games have you considered were possibly bad enough to make an episode, but decided that they weren't actually all that bad, if any? And it's obviously relevant because this game is just there. If you like the gameplay, it's not like the worst version of this that's probably out there.
Yeah, no time did this game make me rage, but I'd still consider it, at least for me, it is a bad game for me. But, you know, as we just heard from Jake, it wasn't a bad game for him. Oh, I see. It's a bad game, but you still enjoyed it.
I'm not about to defend this game. It can't stand on its own merits. Fuck this pile, but like that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy some of my time with it.
Yeah, so like
fair enough.
This is a game that it's bad, and like I can tell you all the flaws and glitches and stuff that I've run into, but I never really got mad playing it, right? It was there. I had some good times, I had some annoying times, and at the end of the day, I'm probably never going to play this game again. And I'm very okay with that. But that's just like there are of the games we play. I don't know. How many are we up to?
This will be 66.
Yeah, so this would be like 66 episodes. Honestly, at least half of those, I probably couldn't even tell you a thing about. I mean, like, we played them, I disliked them, and then I forgot they existed.
Well, that was my first thought. Is like, besides like this game, like Rascal, right? If Rascal wasn't a suggestion, I don't know, man. Like, it's not good, but it's also like inoffensively bad. Like, it's just not that good. And so like I had to pull up the list of stuff that we played. Like, some of the stuff is like Destiny 2, right? Which I know why we did it.
Yeah.
And like I like that game, and I get issues that people would have with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly like Destiny 2. Because I don't care about any sort of PvP content, and I want things in the game that like they add very rarely, and I'm like, but these are the things I want, and they're like, well, no.
They're like, well, sit and spin,
yeah.
So there's tons of things like that, and honestly, I wouldn't consider Destiny necessarily a bad game. It's certainly not something I want to play all the time.
Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
I can't even. How many others? What are you up? How many?
To give my own.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many episodes are you on now, ahead. Elsa? 5,
6, maybe. I was gonna say, to give my own perspective on this, I was going to maybe suggest to this specific group. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Go fuck yourself.
Because of the creative lead. And you know who the creative lead on this is. It's your boy. It's your boy from Kingdom Hearts.
We have talked off camera. I would consider it for the podcast, but I don't want to pay them because I know I'm going to dislike the game. I wasn't a huge fan of 7 to begin with. I watched it be played. I never really played it myself, and so it doesn't have like any kind of nostalgia for me. It's not even the full game. It's $60. It has the same active time battle system from the newer Final Fantasies that I hate. I don't want this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you want those listens, you want those clicks, you want those
then
hate
we
views.
need to redo
Go on,
Fallout
Jake.
76 because that's still our best episode by a mile.
Yeah, it is. No. So I spent a lot of time in various subreddits as people were just like fapping to, oh, they're gonna make a Final Fantasy VII remake. Everything's great again. And then I would have to remind these fucking idiots that you're about to pay $60 for a part of a game. And I mean, that makes me Hitler, which is fine, whatever. If I have to be the bad guy to remind you that you're fucking stupid, so be it. That's a cross I'm willing to bear. Oh, goddamn it, I lost audio again.
Yeah, it's really funny watching Jake struggle over here. But yeah, I mean, that's a game that I'm sure some people will be very happy to see exist that we don't really. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 was kind of in that same way. Kingdom Hearts 3 had more negative reviews. It still had quite a few positive reviews.
Right, because
but I knew I was going to hate that shit show, and guess what? It was a garbage shit show.
So yeah, that's my take on this question is I've thought about, posting that, but also I don't know if you're going to take it up because a lot of people, it's a well-reviewed game generally and a popular game, obviously.
So would you take that
so I don't know if it fits the criteria.
I mean, we have criteria which seems suspect some days, but
well, because I think one of the highest rated games we've played outside of Grim Fandango, which was still a great experience, everyone should go play it. Was when we played, was it Final Fantasy 12? 13. The original 13, not 13-2, which does actually have bad reviews, but the original 13 on Metacritic, I can't remember, but it had like a 80% or something.
Yeah.
And Square Enix gets people to like games who are wrong. Square Enix is terrible at everything and should stop making games.
Yeah, so the thought of playing, 50, 60 hours in Final Fantasy VII, a game that I like, but have said, I think it was one of our E3 episodes they announced it, I'm like, there's nothing that they're going to do for this game that's going to make me enjoy it. They have voice actors. I don't care about that. I don't want that. The voice actors are never going to sound like they did in my head, period, right? It's fucking, they changed goddamn Eris's name, those bastards. Fuck them. But it comes down to 50, 60 hours for the, Final Fantasy 13 combat system? Fuck that noise. I do not want that.
So, yeah.
Just try not to fucking yell into a microphone. Fucking irritated about it.
He's doing his best. And with that, we're going to transition to, I think, the last part, unless you got something...
Real quick, I was just thinking about a thing, because you were talking about Square Enix making things that people are wrong about liking. And it just reminded me of Sonic, and I was wondering if those two studios had ever collaborated. The answer is I don't think so.
I hope not.
But they did hire the father of Sonic to make an original action game for them. Square Enix did, so we might see that.
The Sonic team is busy touring the European countryside, trying to steal all the children away from orphanages. So, no, they haven't directly collaborated that I'm aware of.
And, I don't think it's any... it'll come as any surprise, because if you watch the streams, you'd know I am currently playing, I was currently playing a Square Enix game on stream. We've got more coming. Choo-choo.
Oh, yeah, I'm not excited for that one. I'm a part of that one.
The only good thing about me playing that game right now is the knowledge that when I'm done with it, I get to hear you two complain about playing it.
Oh, no.
Anyway, that's going to wrap up that section. If Elsa, if you want to have anything you're plugging.
Just that my Twitter is at Freya Faust. It's my writing Twitter. Eventually I'm gonna release a novel. Maybe one of these days.
Maybe.
That's pretty much it. Yup, nailed it. Just like every other author ever.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Jake Prey.
And you can find anything associated with this podcast everywhere. You can find us email thebadgamecast@gmail.com. That's with questions, comments, concerns we read on air. Respond to them. It's great. It's fun. If you want to tweet at thebadgamecast, I run that. I don't tweet as much as I should. I should do it more. Still don't. You can see us live Monday through Thursday on twitch.tv/thebadgamecast. We play bad games, we play good games, we play old games, we play new games, we play whatever. It's kind of a hodgepodge at this point. Mm-hmm. There's really no direction, but it's a fun time, and you can hang out with us. There is the Facebook page. I remembered to bring it up this time. I don't know if I remembered to update it this time, but I remembered to bring it up, and that's good enough for me. There's the Discord, which there should also be a link in the description of this episode. It's also kind of medium threadbare. There's actually people there now. The discussion varies day to day.
Yeah, but you can come hang out with us and the community on Discord.
Yep. There is the subreddit where all the episodes get posted. Again, there's not a ton of people there discussing things, but it is there. There is the YouTube channel, which all of these episodes go up as audio mediums on YouTube, so you can listen there if you don't have a way to download them or listen to them anywhere else, as well as all of the Twitch streams go up onto the YouTube, so you can catch those and get, if you missed them, or obviously after Twitch deletes VODs after every, whatever, like 2 weeks, you can still catch all the streams on the YouTubes. And then the last thing is the thank you to all our patrons who help make this ship keep going. Yeah. I gotta cut that down, man. Like, I gotta figure out some way to just, like, I don't know.
I was torn right there. Like, I wanted to say, and like, really, and I mean this, thank you to everyone that supports us on Patreon. But I also really wanted to see how long you were going to hold that just, like, awkward pause for, and then keep yepping. Yep.
But realistically, anyone who's listened to the podcast now knows, like, all of those things. I don't think I really need to say them every time, every single thing.
If only there was some way you can condense it down, since it's our name on everything, like, you know, the Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, at the Bad Gamecast. We have a Discord. Check that shit out.
Like,
add the YouTube to the other socials. Yeah.
I should probably, like, actually script something out and then just read that every time. But
I was gonna say, maybe just, like, record it once and just paste it at the end of each episode.
That would be funny.
That'd be so weird.
Well, because it depends on how and when it's recorded. You get this, like, slight difference.
Hold on. Let's get you boozed up and let me grab another shitty microphone, and then, like, let's make sure you do it on that one. So you sound way different.
Yeah, so that's Wolcen.
All right, well, if that's it for the Bad Gamecast, I've been Jake.
I've been Jason.
I'm Ascension Boob Window.
Good night, everybody!
Oh, thank God. That took longer than I thought it would.
Sitting boob window.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it took forever.
It took about as long as I expected.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody kept bringing shit up.
Oh.